story of Paul Pycroft's Jaguar SS100 continues to resonate not only because of its mechanical brilliance or its role in the revival of post-war British racing, but because it captures a rare human element, the ingenuity, pride, and persistence that define that era. When Pycroft crossed the line at Goodwood in 1948, he did more than just win a race. He symbolized a generation's determination to rebuild both machinery and spirit after years of global devastation. His specially bodied SS100 wasn't just a fast car. It was an expression of optimism shaped from aluminum, creativity, and post-war necessity. Driving it must have felt unlike anything else on the track that day. Its long nose, clean pontoon wings, and purposeful stance reflected the birth of a new design philosophy that leaned toward aerodynamic efficiency rather than mere ornamentation. Even the hinged body sections, decades ahead of their time, hinted at a practical mind thinking about access, maintenance, and function. Pycroft's decision to mount a larger fuel tank for long-distance endurance, to balance weight and improve handling, showed a racing engineer's intuition rather than that of a simple enthusiast. Every turn at Goodwood carried echoes of that ingenuity. The crowd, starved of motorsport for nearly a decade, saw in Pycroft's machine a flash of something futuristic, a sign that Britain's motor industry was not only alive but evolving. When the XK120 debuted a month later, its resemblance to the Pycroft Jaguar only deepened the intrigue. Whether or not William Lyons ever drew direct inspiration from Pycroft's design remains one of those charming mysteries that fuel the romance of classic motoring history. In the decades that followed, the SS100 passed through several hands, each owner adding their own small chapter. From van der Lof's careful stewardship in the Netherlands to the meticulous restoration that brought the car back to Goodwood for the circuit's 75th anniversary, the Jaguar's story came full circle. The idea that a car could disappear into obscurity, survive years of neglect, and then re-emerge to be celebrated once more on the same tarmac where it made history is a kind of poetry that only the automotive world can produce. When Alexander van der Lof eased the reborn Jaguar onto the Goodwood track in 2023, the sound of the straight six once again filled the Sussex air, sharper now, but unmistakably authentic. It was as though time itself had folded, linking the austerity of 1948 with the reverence of today's classic motoring culture. The SS100's aluminum skin shimmered under the English sun, every curve carrying the weight of its own legacy. For those who know the story, it's impossible to see the car without imagining Pycroft, helmeted and determined, holding down that roof with one hand as he blazed toward victory. Even in its restored form, the Pycroft Jaguar is more than a rare artifact. It's a living bridge between two worlds, pre-war craftsmanship and post-war innovation. It represents what happens when creativity meets perseverance, when racing becomes not just a contest of speed but a celebration of survival. Its legacy endures every time an engine starts at Goodwood, reminding spectators that before the legends of modern motorsport, there were dreamers like Pycroft, who built their own destiny out of aluminum, grit, and imagination. And as the car rests once more in its rightful place among motoring's greatest icons, it stands as a tribute to all who dared to rebuild the world, one race, one car, and one dream at a time. Today, when the Pycroft Jaguar rolls out of its paddock, it's not just another vintage racer returning to a famous circuit. It's a ghost of Goodwood's past, reborn. The car breathes the same air, traces the same curves, and sings the same melody that once echoed through the English countryside in 1948. But now it carries an even deeper meaning. It represents endurance, not just of metal and design, but of the human drive to create, to compete, and to remember. There's something profoundly emotional about seeing it glide past the grandstands once more. Every rivet and weld tells a story. Every dent that was carefully repaired hides a chapter of its long journey. For Alexander van der Lof, driving it where Pycroft once claimed victory is more than nostalgia. It's a tribute to both his father's passion and Pycroft's brilliance. As the Jaguar sweeps through the corners, it feels less like a restored machine and more like a messenger from another time. Spectators at Goodwood Revival stop to watch it, often unaware of its layered history. They see the gleaming paint, the elegant curves, the mechanical beauty. But those who know, those who read about Pycroft and his quiet defiance, see something else. the spirit of a man who dared to build his vision when resources were scarce and the world was still healing. His creation, though once forgotten, is now celebrated as one of the earliest signs of the post-war British automotive renaissance. There's also an irony in how history unfolds. The XK120 went on to become one of Jaguar's most iconic sports cars, defining the company's direction for decades, while Pycroft's prototype faded into obscurity. Yet, in the grand arc of time, it is his SS100 that returns to the spotlight, a car that, by design and by circumstance, shaped part of Jaguar's legend. What was once a private experiment has become an emblem of creativity without boundaries. The experience of driving the Pycroft Jaguar today is said to be raw and mechanical, demanding full engagement. The steering feels heavy, the brakes require effort, and the gearbox insists on precision. All reminders that this was a car meant to be driven by men who understood machines at their core. But at speed, everything blends into harmony. The aerodynamic body settles the car into the tarmac, the straight six hums with confidence, and the world outside the cockpit blurs into rhythm. It's easy to imagine how Pycroft, gripping the wheel with one hand and steadying the roof with the other, must have felt that same pulse of life and freedom. Even as decades pass, cars like this continue to connect generations. They remind us that behind every engineering achievement is a human story, one of persistence, risk, and vision. Pycroft's SS100 doesn't just belong in a museum. It belongs on the open circuit, alive and moving, because that's where its spirit was forged. When it races again, even for demonstration laps, it doesn't chase trophies, it chases memory. And perhaps that's what makes this car truly immortal. Long after its creators and restorers are gone, long after the noise of modern motorsport fades into silence, the image of that silver-bodied Jaguar, streaking across Goodwood's start-finish line, one hand on the wheel and one on the roof, will remain etched in history. It's not just the story of a car. It's the story of rebirth, of a nation, of passion refined by struggle. In the end, Pycroft's SS100 stands as both an icon and an inspiration, proof that beauty and brilliance can rise from the ashes of war, and that even one man's dream, shaped in metal and courage, can leave tire marks across time. As the years go by, the Pycroft Jaguar story continues to evolve, not as a static relic, but as a living symbol of what the golden age of motoring truly represented. Each time it is wheeled out into the daylight, the car captures a rare and almost cinematic feeling, a bridge between the dust of the late 1940s and the polished elegance of modern classic car culture. It embodies the moment when British motoring reawakened, when creativity was forged not from abundance, but from scarcity. The more one studies the car, the more its character comes to life. Its long, sculpted fenders and flowing tail are not merely design flourishes. They are echoes of Pycroft's belief that function and form should coexist in perfect balance. Even the hinged front and rear bodywork, a detail decades ahead of its time, reveals how far his imagination reached. Pycroft was an engineer, a racer, and above all, an artist who saw the automobile as a medium for progress. He dared to build something not because he had the resources to do it easily, but because he refused to let limitations define his vision. When the restored SS100 returned to Goodwood for the 75th anniversary celebrations, there was a quiet sense of destiny fulfilled. For Alexander van der Loof, it wasn't just about restoration or recognition, it was about continuity. The same engine note that once echoed through the air in 1948 roared again, mingling past and present in a way few other machines can. Spectators could feel that resonance, the mechanical heartbeat of history coming back to life, unchanged yet immortal. In many ways, the Pycroft Jaguar stands as a testament to an era when racing was as much about courage as it was about technology. The men who drove and built these cars didn't rely on computer modeling or wind tunnels. They relied on instinct, feel, and sheer willpower. Every curve of the Pycroft's body, every improvised solution, speaks of that raw human touch. And perhaps that is why it endures, because it was made not by a committee, but by a man who believed that beauty and performance should serve each other. Today, as the SS100 rests between its outings, gleaming under the soft light of its workshop, it carries with it the essence of all those who shaped it. Pycroft's dream, Van der Loof's devotion, and the passion of countless restorers and enthusiasts have turned it into more than a machine. It's a story captured in metal, one that reminds us that true craftsmanship never dies, and that some victories echo forever on the wind that sweeps across Goodwood's historic track.